Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Savage, aka the Sevlo. You tuning in to Sevlo Hotels. Like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, and let's politic for all the real tribes, all sectors. You know what it is. Now, let me start this video off. I want to talk about a subject, right? And a subject that's close to me because this subject and this question's always asked after people hear that I did penitentiary time, after people hear what politics I ride with. And this question was a question that was asked way before I started doing time because people just didn't understand it, and people are actually fear what they don't understand. So I'm gonna tell you a couple little stories, right? I work for a staffing company, and they send you out to all these job sites. They send you out to all these construction sites, and you meet new people. Well, I go to this new job site, and this is recent. You know, this is an aspect that happened in the last 2 months. I go to a construction site, this site, and I pull up with this other individual. Dang, that's bright, man. I pull up with this other individual, right? And the first day we're on the work site together, I see he had a Cowboys hat on, so I had to give him a little hassle. He ain't from here. But we connect about football. We start going back and forth about sports, and that was cool. But his lingo is the same kind of lingo I speak. What up, cuz? My lokes, you know what I'm saying? Whoopty whoop. So I already knew he was from the left side. I already knew he was a Kiwi. And he had tattoos, and I already knew what the tattoos meant. So it was obvious what side of the rag he was banging. And come to find out, he was an OG from Harlem 30s. Los Angeles. He was an OG, and he was passing through, but we get to connect, and he's like, "Hey, homie, you seem like a solid individual. I could tell you were a little different than some of the Mexicans that I come across because back where I'm from, we get into it with a lot of the Mexicans, but you seem like a solid individual." And and that's what it do. We connected. We just connected all the way. There's been times when we were on the construction site, we actually will spend days with each other working because it just passed the time, and it was making the days go fast, and we had conversation, and we kind of, with me, I'm real educated about politics in different areas, different aspect. And he was like, "You're real educated about, community revolution and progress, the Lokes." So, he automatically felt comfortable around me. So there was a situation one day, we're on the compound together. We're talking amongst each other, and then I see off in the distance some fool that was over there. He was not a part of my company. He was part of the construction company. He was ear hustling what we was talking about. But when he was ear hustling, I caught him get like a little upset on how we were talking because, our normal ego is like, "Yeah, cuz, what's up, Ryder?" You know what I'm saying? These fools and, chunking, we got the fade up, boom. He looks at me. He don't like that. He had something against it, and he looked only at me. So his energy really didn't like me. And I kind of looked at him, and I was like, "Hey, homie, what are you looking at, bro? You got a problem?" And he didn't expect me to actually trip like that. And I don't know if he got nervous, but he walked off. Maybe he just didn't want to have a confrontation, but he should have never been doing that. So the OG homie, he's like, "What happened? What happened with that, homie?" And I was like, "This fool, he must have been ear hustling. He got some kind of problem. So I'm gonna see what's up with him." So, you know what I'm saying? When he's alone, keep tech for me. I'm gonna press this fool. So about 10 minutes later, I hear him on the phone. And I'm kind of now ear hustling because now I'm like sizing him up because he really irritated. He got under my skin with how he looked at me. And I hear him talking to somebody, but he says the wrong word. He starts like gang banging with some other fool, like, "Yeah, dog, woo woo, blood." So I already knew now that's what he was actually looking at me, you know what I'm saying, about, because I'm Spanish, you know what I'm saying, come from the Spanish descent. So he was just like, "Who's this fool?" So that fool goes into the corner room. I said, "Hey, keep tech." I went in, And as soon as I went in, he was over there like in the other room, and I walked up like, homie, where you from? And this fool just got like kind of spooked, and he's like, nah, bro, I'm about money. I'm not even on here about that. And I said, do you bang, fool? I was like, why you looking at me like that? And he's like, nah, it ain't even like that. And I was like, well, what's up? Let me see your tattoos. And he's like, hey, bro, I mess with the Parus. And then I was like, well, what's up? You want to fade, homie? You want the heads up? Because I'm about that, and I'm tripping. What's up? And he's like, nah, bro, I'm about. I said, don't look at me and don't come by me. So OG was outside. I walk out and he was like, you my rider, cuz. So he gained a lot of love and respect. So we, ever since that, we exchanged numbers and we're chopping it up. And, we stayed communicated up. But in the meantime, he got real curious because he knew Savage was a rider. And he was just like, hey, you been to the penitentiary, you did a stretch. How did you survive in there? Being a Spanish low, because, where I'm from, there is Spanish homies, and sometimes there's not really white homies, but there's Mexican homies. And they are from the turf, but when they get to the penitentiary, there's a target on their back, and they go through a lot. And usually the only way they survive is if they really, really sticking fools and they put in work. Then they'll get their respect, but they have a target on their back. And it's crazy, bro, because before I went to the penitentiary, my uncles, when I was younger, all my cousins and his nephews, we all are from the neighborhood that we're from. So all of us are Crips. My uncle's a OG Mexican fool, and he rides with another neighborhood, and he could never understand it. And he would always tell me, when you go to the pen, there's not a lot of you on the yard, so what are you going to do? You're probably going to drop your rag. And it made me mad and furious inside because he was disrespecting who I was inside. And then he would also say, the Mexican bloods and the Chicano bloods are way deeper than any Chicano CRIP. And out here, to be truthful, there's a lot of Mexican fools that mess with the Cali politics because of the Park Hill fool. So it's a little more easier for somebody to hit a yard and be a Mexican blood, be a Chicano blood, than a Chicano Crip. And he was like, what if them fools trip? And when he said that to me, it put a rage in me where I honestly started not respecting anything my uncle had to say, because like he just didn't understand it. And whatever you don't understand, you fear, and you don't want to understand it. So from that day, I told myself in my mind and my heart, I would never be that person, because automatically, I was in the streets, bro, putting in work for the turf, catching war wounds. I had dead homies, and I was already full-fledged, and I was taking on a lot of the baggage of my neighborhood, and our circle was super active. So at that point, it was Crip or nothing. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't from the turf, you ain't no good. And I love Cripping more than my mama. Community revolution and progress. And it was crazy, bro. I started having a wedge between even some of my family members that just didn't understand. And they were not willing to understand it. But you got to understand, too, my neighborhood that I'm from, born and raised, the block that I'm from, it's majority African Americans, the 5 Points area. And to be truthful, in the early 90s, in my projects that we lived, 27 Arapahoe, them projects got flooded out with the keyways. They got flooded out with Crippin'. The Compton Crip riders came out here deep, front hood Compton Crips, and flooded the projects where I'm from. So when we were growing up, all we seen, we go outside, it would be none but the Lokes. And there was some Spanish families, but majority, everybody in the projects was African American. And there was Spanish families, but even the Spanish families, when gangbanging hit, they were magnetic to the Lokes. That's why you have a gang called the Chicky 30 Crips, and they're all mixed breeds, and they're all mixed breeds and Chicanos, and they all bang Crip, because the Comptons moved to 29th and Arapahoe, and the Chickies were on 30th and Arapahoe, and there was a fool named Santiago Chiefloke. He had cousins from Chickies, and he combined them, so they were riding together. But like I said, most of the project fools, all magnetic to Crippin', all magnetic to Keyways. Then my older uncles, some of my older uncles and cousins, older OGs and my cousins, they were all involved with the Crips. So Of course, it's going to be a generational thing. You can't really blame me. I just, I went to what my environment was, and then doing that, when I started getting older into my prime, I started getting really, really activated and gaining enemies. And in my mind, this is what it is: loyalty to the. Oh my God! Oh, never mind. Loyalty to the block. Then I called my case, right? When I go into the county, you know, you can't, for me, I had so many enemies from everywhere because I beefed with a lot of fools, and I gained a whole list of enemies from different hoods. Plus, we were in beef with certain sectors that we really were tripping, not just banging. It was just on some other stuff where it was deeper with gunplay. So fools was getting chipped, and so I couldn't go into the county and put down my rag, because any given time in the county, somebody that knew me from the streets, they're going to come in, and if they see me drop down my rag after all the years of banging, that's going to put a target, and I'm going to become a victim of jail, a victim of that county. And it was crazy because I walked into the county and I'm shot up. You got to understand, I'm shot up. I just got hit previous to going to the county and caught a case. I got shot twice. So when I went in the county, there was already word from different fools and different enemigos from different sets. I walked in, and the first day, bro, I'm not even going to lie, there was 3 fools from the opposite, from some fools called 16 Block, and they coaster me. They get at me. Boom, 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 boom. They pack me out. Then I'm still banging though, bro. I didn't check out the unit, nothing. And I said, I'll fade with you every single day. I'm lumped up. And I just said, hey, man, I talked to the OG, and I stated who my uncles were. And the OG was like, oh, that's your uncle? Boom. So they allow me to get the fades. But I had to get fades back to back. While down the road, weeks down the road, I'm still in the unit. Couple of the red rags leave. There's only 2 red rags that were left in that unit. My homies from Compton Crip Riders roll up to the county, right? My homie Little Tyrone Buckner, Too Sick, and this fool named Little Curb. They roll up. Too Sick was like, what's up, cuz? Are you good? He rode into the same unit. We got to be Sally's and everything. And I told him what was going on. He was like, no more of that stuff. We about to mash these fools. Up to the time I went to the penitentiary, we were coastering. There was one situation right before I left. The fool hits the unit, and I recognized, and I said, cuz. I said, hey, homie, lock down this fade session. As soon as you unpack your shit, get ready to fade. He tried to give me the scoop on he's going home to his kids, trying to get his life right. That doesn't matter in there. 2-6 said, get him. I packed him out. Boom, boom, boom. I beat him up. 2-6 coasted him. So we got at that fool. Well, the fools in the other unit heard about that. They said because it was one of theirs, and even though he was saying he was gonna put down a rag, they just found disrespect that some lokes got at him. So the Bloods was sending kites like when you hit the yard, you got fades coming. We already sent a word. So it is what it is. I go to the penitentiary, right? The first day I'm in the penitentiary, bro, I go to my unit 5, and I go unpack my stuff. And it ain't even the Bloods that hit me. It was actually the Southside fools. Dark Side, this fool Grumpy, and Lucky. They came in. They were like, hey, SA, where you from, homie? And I was like, yeah, the Wooty Woo, I let them know. And they didn't agree with it. So off the top, the OG Grumpy, though, he knew the OG Loke. And he was like, he told the OG Loke, one of your homies just hit the yard, but we got to see what's going on. So the homie was like, he was trying to test me to see if I really was going to go in. And I was like, yeah, homie, I'll bang with you. I'll bang with you. I'll bang with you. And 3 in a row. The first fool, we kind of get it tied up. The second fool, I'm feeling like, you know what I'm saying? I could get in the penitentiary and chuck him. I tap him out. Boom, 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 boom. They send the little fool. I knock him. Then, the Sureños, the homie, they call their little homies off. While the OG fool that had the keys for the Lokes, the East Siders, the OG homie Johnny, Big J Dog, he comes, he's like, you from the East Side? And then I was like, yeah, my family's Woo to Woo. He's like, oh, okay, I know your family. So automatically, them fools show love. Automatically, they was a rider. He straight told me, he said, you gonna ride with the homies from the East Side, you win. But the thing about it is you're gonna have a target on your back, so you gotta get a blade. They gave me the blade, and I was ready to do what I had to do. Down the road, there was some lokes. you know what I'm saying, that didn't agree with it, didn't understand it. And I started getting into it with some of the homies, started getting into it with a lot of the lokes, fading out. But I was always on the front line, and I was always willing to do that. You know, there was times where the loke felt alone because, you know, I was walking the yard and I was putting it down for the revolution, but different cars do different things. And that's another thing is too, before I went to the penitentiary, I really wasn't about Crip on Crip beef. There's a lot of them in the penitentiary. I seen it firsthand. You know what I'm saying? And all I could do was know who I was and handle every situation accordingly. You know, one big thing that happened that changed my mind, that kind of made me see things in a different aspect, with some of the lokes, and you finally understand, and you really understand, because at first it's all about the revolution. You want to be unitized, but in there everybody's about their self. So what's crazy about it is my homie had hit the yard, and he didn't like some of the lokes, and the lokes felt it. So they start tripping with one of their little homies, start tripping with one of my partners, and it turned into them fools actually T-rolling me. You know, I go in the cell, and homie calls me like, "Hey, homie, your little homie got disrespectful. You riding with him?" And of course, he's from the hood. And I say, "Yeah, homie, this is Duke 7. That fool snuck me." Boom. And he didn't draw me, and we're chunking him. And then his homie just hooked me from the side, and he folded me, and they started giving me the boots. And I went into survival mode. Some way I backed out of that and flipped out of that cell, and it went to the yard, and it turned into a riot. Now, I'm going to tell you like this, man. My whole stay was politicking, and it was very stressful because I always had to be more than aware of what was going on around me, because you never knew. I didn't even know, you know what I'm saying? At times, like I said, I felt alone on the yard, but I handled my business and we did what we had to do. I didn't need nobody to crib with me. But yeah, bro, it's wild. And that's kind of just surviving that. I did 7 years straight. Level 4s all the way to the minimums. And surviving that, bro, thanking God, you know what I'm saying? I'm here to speak about it, my testimony. But I'll tell you like this, politicking, it was an everyday thing, and I had to handle everything front-lined. And I had a lot of target on the back because fools, they just don't understand, and they will never agree with that. So, you know, I try to give advice. You better know what you're signing up for. And that's what it was. I had to know what I was signing up for. But you know what time it is, man. I'm going to holler at you. Let's get it. Salute.